through. So the webinar today is it's a step-by-step guide to get started using using EQUINET. We've got Brad Hinze, who's the EQUINET ambassador, and our Mustad Australian Prostaffer Leigh, that's come on as well. They're both actively using EQUINET. So it's got them on to just sort of share their insights on, how to get started and the benefits that they experience when using the app in their day-to-day work. Some top tips for quickly setting up different sort of part features within the app. Sorry, I'm just joining someone else. So we'll get started. So what we'll cover off today, just a guide to get started. There'll be some sort of top tips there, some things to look at thinking about when you're looking at the app. So maybe you might be new to the app, you haven't used it at all as yet, and you're just wanting to learn a little bit more about it, or it might be that you have had a look at it and kind of thought, I just don't know where to start. There's so much there that I could look at and so many features, where do I start? So just a few little tips, I guess on that side of things, and then we'll go hear from Brad and Leigh, just get them to give you a bit of an overview of kind of their their line of work, what areas they work in, and how maybe what they've done in the past and how they're using the app today, and then we'll sort of deep dive into the different features and get some insights from Brad and Leigh as to how they're using the different features, if they are. So and then we'll finally finish up with a Q&A. So if you've got any questions, you can ask those at the end. Just in terms of those questions, there's a couple of options there. You've got the chat button along the bottom of the screen where you can write some questions as we're going through. If anything pops in your mind and you hear something and you want to know a little bit more about it, you can pop your question in there. Lucia is available to answer those questions, but we'll also go through those at the end if we do have any. And the other option too is just during the Q&A, you can raise your hand if you have a question, and then you can ask it, obviously, as we go through. So just really, getting started with a new app, not just EQUINET, anything really, can be a bit overwhelming. But there's a few things maybe you can do. You can break it down into steps just to make that, process a little bit easier. So I guess just a few little tips. Obviously we'll relate it to EQUINET, but when you first sign in, you do get a quick informative guide. There's some onboarding there which will take you through the different features of the app and how they work. So that's kind of just a little bit of a guide as to how to use these different areas with introductory screens, and also within the app you get some in-app tutorials too under the messages section of the app, which will explain those basic features and layouts as well. You can, in terms of starting, there are a lot of features in the app, so you could just look at maybe one particular feature that you want to familiarize yourself with. Think, okay, right, I want to start with with the contacts and scheduling appointments. So start in that one area, familiarize yourself, and then obviously build that confidence, and then you can continue to kind of look into other maybe move into other areas. Perform a simple task. So start with one task, as I mentioned. So you could create a contact, add those horses to the contact, and then schedule an appointment. Focus on what your main priority is in using the app, and then that will give you that hands-on experience with the app's functionality and will give you confidence. And then you can look at other app features. And finally, that user, we have the use, help and support if needed. So there's the support and frequently asked questions under the settings in the app. We also have the live chat icon at the top of the screen. Hey Rick, nice to see you. So you can ask your questions and we get those and respond to those. And then there's also the EQUINETapp.com, which has lots of support pages and videos that you can watch and learn if there's particular areas you want to know a little bit more about. And then finally, obviously, we're always here during office hours to call the team or send an email, and we can respond to those. So that's kind of just some, yes, I guess some little tips as to get started. But now I'm going to sort of introduce, well, have a chat with Brad and Leigh and get them to sort of talk about their experiences. So we'll start with with Brad Hinze. So yeah, thanks Brad for coming on. Maybe just if you'd like to let everyone know that's on the webinar a little bit about I guess your background and kind of your sort of the clients that you have and things like that to start with.
Yeah, thanks, Hayley. So, yeah, I'm Brad Hinze. I live in the Hunter Valley, which is probably about 3 hours north of Sydney, northwest of Sydney. And we're in the heart of thoroughbred country up here. So we've got all the thoroughbred studs around the area. I've been down here for probably 20 years. Started my apprenticeship down here. And we work on a couple of the big farms around here, the big thoroughbred studs. So we've got lots of horses that we're working with. So, yeah, originally I'm from Queensland. I've come down here to do my apprenticeship with Billy Neville and Spook Neville. I went to America for a couple of years, shod cutting horses and reining horses over there, and then come back and started in with the stud season here. So I'm married with 3 beautiful kids, and we live on a farm here in the Hunter Valley. So, been using EQUINET for a little while now, and it's going quite well.
Okay, great. So in terms of what I suppose you did in the past, I maybe have a sort of explain kind of what you used to do in the past and kind of what made you sort of decide to look at EQUINET. Yeah,
so previously, some days we'll work on quite a high volume and high numbers of horses. So anywhere up to 30 to 40 horses when we're doing foals through the day. So keeping records and keeping track of all those horses that you work on was very hard. It was all manual. We used to just, it was all just a triplicate copy book. So everything was handwritten. I think there was about 25 lines per page. So, once you wrote an assessment of your foal or a comment on what you're doing and all the products you use, you're taking up a lot of sheets. So at the end of the day, you had 3 to 4 sheets with all your data that all the work you performed for the day, and you had to either email that or hand deliver that to the office of the stud, and then you had to bring a triplicate copy or a second copy home with you for our office, and then we'd have to have a manual book on the job just to refer back to the previous work that we'd done. So it was very tedious. It was very hard, and it was just all manual paperwork, and there was paper everywhere.
Okay, great. So, so you obviously sort of, I guess, heard about the app and reached out. So how did you sort of, I guess, just explain sort of how you got sort of set up with that and, with the app when you first started?
Well, obviously EQUINET was around and it was, I guess, serendipity. It come to the point where we had many guys working for us. We're emailing pictures of pages of work to each other. It was just an unprofessional look. To hand it into the office, all the work you'd done for the day was covered in, blood and sweat and horse snot, and you couldn't really read half the names and didn't know what half the handwriting of the guys. At the start of the day, your handwriting's lovely, but by the end of the day, sure, in a hot heat, it's not very nice. So it was unprofessional. So so I decided that we had to go digital, and EQUINET was the most available thing. It was the best thing around at the time, and the best part was that we had the interaction with the help once it was started, which I thought was an important thing, because anything with computers and anything digital in my generation is hard. So to be able to be talked through it and helped through it was a good thing. And it was a bit of pressure from the farmers that we were working on too. I remember having a conversation with a manager, and he's, he said, "We live in the 21st century. Why are we still handwriting everything, and why isn't the platform digital at this stage?" So, yeah, it was just the graduation of a farrier business becoming professional and keeping a track of everything.
Okay, great. Once I guess you were set up, sort of, we'll go more into the individual features sort of shortly, but in terms of kind of how you use it day to day, obviously you work with a team of others, so maybe just explain a little bit more about that and how that works for your business.
Yeah, we've got you know, anywhere up to 8 guys working for us at any one time, and the guys are spread out all over different farms. So it's very, you know, it's great to have all the work that we've done for that day all on the app, and and it's all, you know, it's all at the minute work. So I can look at the app and see what the guys have done on different farms. I can follow through on different, you know, horses that they have problems with. It's got many good features to it. But yeah, so the thing is that we do have multiple guys working for us, and they're all spread out everywhere, but all the data's it's right there and then at the time. So.
Okay, thanks for that, Brad. Well, like I said, we'll deep dive more into the individual features shortly, but we'll move on to Leigh now. So yeah, Leigh, if you'd like to maybe just give us a little bit of background on yourself, you know, how maybe you got into being a farrier and those sort of the jobs and, you know, clients that you have now, that would be really great.
Yeah, hi, I'm Leigh MacDonald. I'm based at Avenel, and it's an hour and a half north of Melbourne. I've got a mixed practice, mainly performance horses, a couple of thoroughbreds now. I don't do as many as I used to. I was probably, you know, did a lot of thoroughbreds.
Yep.
Not so much now in the racing. But I started my apprenticeship in, I think it was 1997 at Epsom Racecourse, just out of Melbourne.
Yeah.
With Mark Cumming. And I was with Mark, I think, 8 years. And then I went out on my own in, I think it was 2005, down to Mornington. And I had a business down there and shoeing all the racehorses. And I think I've been up here now 10 years in Avenel. And I just had literally a full reversal. So I'm not, and I'm enjoying it. So
good. Very good. And you so you sort of work a few days with alongside vets, and as well as having you sort of more, I guess, private sort of customers. So
a day at Avenel and a day at GV, Goulburn Valley.
Yeah.
And the rest is just performance horses.
Okay, great.
It's good.
Yeah. So maybe talk a little bit if you can explain a little bit about what you maybe were using before you used EQUINET, and then how you, I guess, came about to using the app.
Yeah, I was literally with the diary. That's all I had, and I was using app Invoice to Go, and that started getting a bit expensive, and had a few issues with it. And then the EQUINET came along, and was literally, I had COVID. I did start with it, and then it just got a little bit hard, and then COVID came and I had nothing to do. So I literally just put everything in and never looked back, really. And, it's been really good.
Great. And like, did it surprise you when you because you said originally when you first looked at it you were sort of a bit, that seems like a lot, that's going to be quite time consuming, but when you actually had that time, when you obviously had COVID, did it take as long as you thought to set it up, or
no, once I think once I got the horses in and the clients, it just flowed. And I don't use like all the breed and all those details. I just put the horses in. And now it just flows along, and it's pretty easy, and it's going really well.
Right. And have you both found that it's sort of saves you some time when you're sort of doing your, adding in the work and things like that?
Yeah, like I find now I'll be honest, I was pretty slack with invoicing. Now, literally, I'm driving out the gate and the horses' entries are in and I'm invoicing. And it's the cash flow from doing those private horses is just much better, because I'm just literally, it just makes it easy invoicing. I'm just push the button and it's done. I'm not waiting where I'd wait to the end. I'll do it on the weekend, and we get a bit slack, and so it's just making life a lot easier.
Yeah. Okay, great. perfect. All right. Well, thank you for I guess a little bit of an overview of you know, your businesses and what you did before and what you're sort of doing now with regards to EQUINET. We'll kind of, I guess, dive a little bit more into the features. As we've sort of mentioned, EQUINET is featured packed, so it covers yeah, everything in that you would need. So for example, you know, once you've got your horses and contacts in there, you can create those horse entries, which is just a log of the work that you're doing each day. And then you can schedule appointments and send those to your clients so that that's and manage your calendar. And obviously, if you're in a team as well, you can schedule appointments and different team members at different appointments. In terms of managing all your finances, as Leigh mentioned, so with those horse entries, I mean, we will go more into the invoicing side of it, the options that there are for that. But in terms of if you're connected, you know, through the app to Xero or QuickBooks, you can sort of invoice on the go, or you can, you know, invoice it as you see fit, whether it's the end of the month or fortnightly, etc. In terms of, you know, managing your inventory or placing product orders, there's that big product list within the app, so you can kind of keep on top of that. And if you do work in a team, as Brad mentioned already, you can you're all connected, so everything, all the work that's being done is all in that one place. So everything is connected, so you don't have different, I guess, different books and different things in different areas. Everything is just in that one place. So in terms of just the features that we'll go through now, we'll sort of touch on each one, and then I'll invite Brad and Leigh just to give some insights as to how they use these different features, because, you know, well, obviously I know because I speak to them regularly, but like, you know, everyone does things a little bit differently, and it's kind of how you use the app and adapt it in your, you know, in the way that works for you. In terms of the contacts and horses, so yeah, you obviously, as a starting point, you need to put all your contacts in the app, and you can do that either by importing from your phone book, or manually adding those in. So yeah, so Leigh, obviously you did that and spent the time with Brad, because he does have the volume of horses. We were able to assist to just have those horses added in. As Leigh mentioned, I mean, you can see on the screen there's lots of different fields that you can fill in, but pretty much you need the main information that you need is for your contacts, is, you know, is their phone numbers, email, and location, and then you just add those horses to that contact, and again, so you need the name. That's pretty much the basic thing, and then of course you can add more or less of things in there that you would want to. And then once that's all set up, then you can start creating your entries, and sort of go from there. I might just yeah, so I guess we might just go on to the entries, and you guys can maybe just sort of maybe give some insights with the entries. So in terms of once you've got those horses and contacts in there, you can then create those entries. So it's a log of each work that you're doing. You can add in those procedures and pricing as well for the work that you do. So that all goes onto the entry, which then can be used into invoicing, and you can invoice those the client for the work after you've done that. So I guess, Brad, did you want to maybe give a bit of an insight into you know, with what your process is in terms of creating those entries and adding those sort of each day?
Yeah, perfect. So I'll go back one step with horses and contacts. So
Yeah.
So I think at the moment we've probably, you know, we've been using EQUINET for the last 2 to 3 years, I think. So there's well over 3,000 horses on there at the moment. But when we did start, I can't remember how many there was. There's probably 1,500 to 2,000 horse names that we did. So yeah. EQUINET did a bulk data load onto our EQUINET platform or our page. So all those horses were put on there automatically. So when we go out into the field, it was a matter of looking up those horses that are already there. Every year we obviously get our new foals, and we've got new horses coming to the farm. So we have to add those new horses, but it's quite easy to do as we're working along, because it's only a small amount of horses that we have to add each day, apart from when we're doing foals and you're only looking at a new foal for the first time. Then we add the name of the foal, and then you don't have to add it again because it's already in there. But so if we look at at contacts and horses and creating an entry, I think the easiest way I find is to go to the horse page straight up. So if I'm going to create an entry, if I'm working on a horse, I always go to the horse page, and then I can see all the previous entries that we've worked on prior to this appointment, and that way I can see all that information. I can do whatever we're going to do, and then there's the add entry icon that you click, and then we're straight into the page of that new entry. If that's a new horse for sake, then we're in the horse icon. Then I just add the new horse, and when I add the new horse, I write the horse's name in, and then I just attach it to a contact. So all of that's done very, very quickly and simply, and then I'm already automatically adding an entry. So it's very quick, but you're adding data and you're on the run and you're not missing anything. So that's how I get around working, but with high volumes. I like to be able to look back at previous entries, when we shot it last, who shot it last. We're working on different things all the time. Foals we're looking at sometimes every couple of days or every couple of weeks. So you want to see the progression or advancement or what have you, the comments of that foal. So it's quite easy to do when you look up the name of that foal if you've worked on it a couple of times before, and you can see all those previous entries, especially when there's got photos there. It's quite easy to see. So that's how we go about adding an entry, and it involves contacts and horses at the same time.
Yeah, great. Yeah, so just on that screen, you can't actually see it very well. You can't see it there, but they at the bottom of the like Brad was saying, at the bottom of that horse's screen, there will be the previous entries, and then also like Brad said, you can add an entry straight in from that horse's screen. So that's sort of the way that Brad and his team do it, which is really great insight and information on that. How about you, Leigh? What's your sort of process in terms of sort of adding an entry or contacts? Do you have many new horses, or is it kind of
I pretty well do the same as Brad, and I literally just do everything like job type. I just fill everything out. I'm just going through it now, like the icon down the bottom, and if I've got a new horse, I just literally do the same new horse, and then to the contact, and I just put in my procedures, and literally, it's all done. Then save, and the photos down the bottom. Add photo. I literally put a lot of photos in.
I might go to the next screen for that one, because that was where we touched on about the work with your photos. So carry on. Sorry.
So I put a lot of photos in and save those, and if I've got x-rays from the vet clinic, I'd save them in the photos and just save.
And everything's there.
So you can see a progressional advancement. If you've got photos, it's quite easy to take a picture of a shoeing job, but it's attached to that entry and it's dated, and sits there. So you can go back and you can see if it improves or if it digresses or what have you. But it's not a big mechanical thing of taking photos and having to create a file and then going to look for them. So many times you go to show someone a photo of a foot and you stand there for 10 minutes flicking through your photo scrolls trying to find it. But I've actually noticed that the foot you want to show the picture of, and you just type in the horse's name, and then you've got all of them right there at your fingertips.
Like the other day, I did one that came into the vet clinic, and we probably hadn't seen it for 4 months. I hadn't seen a farrier, and the vet said, when do you think was done last? And I sort of said, we seen it 4 months ago. Like, I just got it up on just went into the horse history, and there it was. And it just looked real professional, and we just knew when it was last done. So
just a point for those people that haven't probably used EQUINET too often, at the bottom of the screen that you can see there on the actual app, you can see there's 4 icons. Now you can customize those icons, I'm pretty sure, to whatever you want, which is quite easy. So I mean, we've got dashboard, entries, and horses, because we're just basically using horses and entries most of the time. So, but if you've got a different variation in the way you want to use it, you can customize whatever you see on the bottom of that screen there.
Yeah, perfect. No, that's good tip there. Thank you. We'll just move on now to the, I mean, still within entries, but I know this is something that you guys both use. It is that report feature. So within that entry, you can, and like what the guys have already kind of have mentioned, you know, you've got that history there. So the app can actually, you can create and generate reports on each entry. So you can either do a single horse and show, you know, maybe the last 10 visits to show that progression, and each page will have you know, is kind of what's on the entry. So it's the horse's details, it was what work was done on it, any the date, any notes, photos as well, and then you so you can do that as a single horse with multiple entries, or you could do multiple horses that you see in one day and just do one report for you know, like the stud manager or something like that, and email that on. So I know, so that's something I know we get really very positive feedback from other users. I don't know if you guys have anything to add on that in terms of your experiences of who you share that with, or yeah.
Yeah, definitely. It leaves a footprint of the work that you've performed. So quite often I use it if I need to, you know, if a horse is leaving the farm and we want to send information on what we've been doing, whether it's relative to that horse going forward for that horse's welfare of its feet, I can write a report there. We can attach the photos, like you said. We can send that to send it to owners. Even you can update owners if we're working on a lameness case or things aren't going great. You know, it's quite easy for me just to generate a report on EQUINET and attach the photos. It's got the horse's details all there, and then export that immediately to a manager who, you know, they read that, send it on to the owners or whoever, the vets, whoever they need to. But it's all right there, and it's all under that horse's profile as well. And the other thing you can do in part of that report and part of the entry is you can add notes. So there's two sections of the notes. So the first section of notes is what is sent through to the person receiving the report. So obviously you can write whatever you wanted to do, whatever you needed that you performed on the horse, any particular information you'd like to pass on, whether it be nutrition or whatever you need to see the vet or whatever. It doesn't matter what you want, but that'll go on to the owner or whoever receives the report. And then there's a second section there of notes is private notes. So that's only shared between those in your EQUINET team or whoever can read your EQUINET profile. And we get quite a lot of interesting notes in the private notes about horses and clients and things, because that's all in our team, and that doesn't go on towards the person receiving the report. But it's actually quite important. So if there's a problem with a horse, you know, if it's an old horse and it doesn't like to pick its back legs up, and you've got their young apprentices fighting it, you can just simply write that in the private notes, and it gives them a little tip to hang that horse's legs a little lower and not fight it, and they'll get through the process a lot easier. But it's just quite important to be able to. It's a little communication platform within each other, I suppose, just about that particular horse. So,
thanks, Brad. Leigh, do you have anything that wanted to share in terms of the reports and how do you find them useful?
Yeah, no, Brad's pretty well got that covered. So
yeah. Use it in the same way, so you're regularly using it.
Yeah, and even other farriers that the horses are gone to, or it's just good, and they, you know, the other farriers appreciate what you're doing as well.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, well, we'll move on to invoicing now. There's a few different options with the invoicing that you can choose to do with that. So there's I guess first things first, you need to sort of set up those farrier services or procedures in your in the invoicing section of that. So there's some pre-filled ones in there, and you just add in your pricing, and then you have all that set up when you sort of, I guess, start out. That would be sort of a suggestion with setting things up so you're ready to go. You can actually on the job edit pricing, or, you know, if, for example, you don't need to list every horse, you might be able just to do 10 trims as one, you know, in one invoice or whatever. So there's a few little variables in terms of how, you know, you have the horses set up for your business. And then in terms of the invoicing, there's a few options. You can either connect directly through the app to Xero or QuickBooks, which is what Leigh does. And then that basically means that once you've created that entry, you then create the invoice, you add all the entries for that client to that invoice, just double check it all, it becomes a draft invoice, and then you check it, make sure all the information is correct, and then you can authorize that, and that actually then kind of goes from the app and Xero or QuickBooks. It is a generated invoice through those providers. So it's a Xero invoice, it's a QuickBooks invoice, and obviously it's all connected to your Xero account, and that gets emailed to the client. And like Leigh was saying, you know, with his private clients, he can send that out as soon as he's done it, and then they can pay ASAP. So that and then obviously that goes through into Xero, and then gets reconciled. And then the other option is to at the end of it, whenever you're choosing to do it, you can actually export a CSV file of all of those invoices out of the app, and then send it on to your bookkeeper, and then they can upload that into the accounting provider that you use, whether it's Xero or MyOb or what have you. So there's different ways, obviously, to do it. With in Brad's example, he has something slightly different. There's an option for a daily report which he receives, which I'm sure he'll chat a little bit more about shortly. But from there, he can then, once you check it, Brad, you then send it on. I guess you can explain that side of things a bit more, but to your bookkeeper. So there's a few things there.
Yeah, like Hayley said, I receive an email each night at 6 o'clock on the dot every night, and that has, it's a spreadsheet of all the work that we've performed on each farm. So there's separate spreadsheets for each client. And once again, I can go through and vet that information and make sure that all the entries have been put in by the lads correctly. Sometimes little things will pop up, you know, it'll be an incorrect procedure, or the name of the file, it might be the name of the file we worked on, but the mare's name's in there, or just little things that need to be corrected, and you can just check the notes, and you can, you know, be comfortable that whatever you're sending through, that everyone else has created in the team is fit to go through to the farm. So once you're happy with that, and you've just looked at that spreadsheet, it's just a matter of emailing that straight to the farm, and they get that day. You can bunch them up. Sometimes I send 3 or 4 days in one hit, but you can just transfer all that information straight through to your client. And that's kind of bulk information too. Like I said before, sometimes you know, I think we're working on probably between 250 and 275 horses a fortnight. So that's, you know, those entries all add up, and if you don't look at them quite often, it's hard to know if you made a mistake or not. So they go straight through to the farm, and then what I do is I just save that file, and at the end of every fortnight, I just put all those files into one, and I send that to the bookkeeper, and she just imports that straight into Xero, and the invoice goes out. So it's a simple procedure, and I'm quite happy, because whatever I send to the bookkeeper, she just marries up the two figures, so nothing can get lost. That was one big thing that at the start was the confidence in computers and digital things, and I didn't know how things couldn't get lost. But there's little markers in there you can make sure that you can check off. So once I've sent it off to the bookkeeper, I know the figure, and then the invoice comes out at the same figure. I know that there's nothing lost there. And the same thing when I send it to the farm. And if there's any discrepancies, the farm will pick up, you know, if it's a wrong name, or you know, so if something's done twice, or something quite often happens. There's little systems in there that can't just get pushed through. Like there's, you know, multiple people looking at it in our system, so it gets picked up, and it's quite accurate. So,
okay,
yeah.
Great. And Leigh, how do you maybe give us some insights into how your you'll find that sort of bookkeeping and all that sort of thing has gone since connecting with Xero through the app. I know you've got sort of your accountant that is quite happy that you're using the app in that way now.
Yeah, no, the accountant's, he's very happy with me. Yeah, like I said before, I literally every day I leave, or if it's one horse or I'm at a place and there's three, I literally send them off on the day, and you know they'll pay either that, you know, whenever they get, you know, right on the spot or the next day. But everything, and I just keep track. I find just because I'm on my own, I just keep track of it, and it's literally really, yeah, just really good. And I wish I had it when I was doing a lot of gallopers, to be honest, because in a stable environment, doing a lot of racehorses, it would have been brilliant. Like, yeah, like especially at the end of the month, you just could have kept. It just made the end of the month would have been made a lot easier. Yeah. So I wish it was. I wish I had it then.
even when you're doing like small numbers, Leigh, it's important. Like you can forget so much, can't you? At the end of the day,
that's right.
You'll do it later, and then when you get home, something's there to do, and you do it a little bit later again. And then when you go to do it, you know, you miss off little bits and pieces that you could have been charging for.
Yeah, and you just keep it. Yeah, I just find I'm just keeping on to things better. I'm just because it's there, and I'm just looking at it, and yeah.
Cool. No, that's great.
And the account, because it's linked to Xero, the accountant's got access to that as well. So it's so
everything's very transparent. You can see what's going on.
I wish I had it when I was doing a lot of gallopers. I would have. Yeah, gee.
All right, great. Well, we'll just move on to scheduling now. So, so this is sort of evolved, I guess, particularly in this year, and there's more things that we will be sort of making improvements to all the time. But in terms of the scheduling, there's the two options for appointments. So there's a service appointment, which is linked to a horse. So that's obviously your sort of business, and then a standard appointment, which you know, if you need to. For example, if you've got an apprentice and they've got trade school or something, you've blocked their time out. There's different elements that don't need to be connected to a horse. It can sync with your phone's calendar. Something that we've released in the last few months is the RSVP feature. So you can send invites via SMS or email to your clients. So whereby they will receive that that notification for the appointment, and they have to accept or decline it. So it obviously just takes that sort of not confusion, but sort of whether, you know, obviously if they haven't received it or you haven't heard from them or they haven't responded, you can follow up with them. But of course, if they approve or decline it, then you know they've seen it, they've responded to it. So, you know, if you turn up and they say they didn't know you're coming, then you've got that there to say that they were available. There's also reminders, so you can set reminders, whether it's a day before or an hour before, just to remind yourself and those contacts as well that you're coming. You can add horses to that appointment, so you've got a list of work for the day of those horses, and adding in those location notes too. So that's sort of optional, but obviously if it's if you're trying to sort of plan your day, and you can put those locations in, that there's the ability to do that. And then as well, you can create new entries for each horse. Again, that's sort of optional. I know some people do like to have that sort of created, and you can just edit it as per the work you've done for that day. But then others like to just, you know, create a new entry each time. So that's sort of optional. And then once you kind of set those appointments up, you can then duplicate them for future work. So if you sort of obviously, you know, obviously you'll all be on a regular cycle with the different horses and clients, so you can just duplicate that and book it in for, if it's 5 weeks time, all the information is still retained there, and you can just edit the date and the time as needed, and you can have a complete overview of your schedule with the calendar view. So you can have a list view, a day view, week or month. So so that's sort of the scheduling side of things. I know sort of Leigh, you were saying you sort of like the kind of the scheduling view. Yeah,
I just like the week. I can just look just look at the whole week, and I just got I got my clients down here on Monday, and I can just look at it in the time, and then it's just easier to look at. I find that's for me.
Yeah. Are you finding with the SMS with the RSVP that people are liking that sort of side of it?
Yeah, I've got a few clients that are they like that a lot. To be honest, I haven't used it a lot.
No, that's fine. It's pretty new.
I've got a couple of clients that they think it's really good. They've locked in, and no, that's going real good too. So, but I just like the week, and just I can click on say on Thursday, I'll just click on it and go down to select contacts, or if I want to put a new contact in, and then save or the horse, and
Okay. Great.
Yeah.
Do you with Brad, you've got kind of pretty set with your where you're going and things like that, don't you, with your scheduling and what have you? So I guess it's sort of not something you use as much. And like you said before, you use more the horses and the entries from your side of things.
Yeah, we our scheduling it changes through the course of the day, or certainly over the week. But we've got places that we're all certain days we're in certain places all the time. So
Okay, great.
Yeah, and I find I can change, like Brad was saying, I can change a client pretty easy, because I can just move it across, say, the next day, and it's pretty good like that.
Okay. And then we'll just sort of spend just a few minutes just on the I guess the product side of things. So there's the inventory, which sort of we'll come to next, and also that create and send a shopping list. So you can create those. There's shoes, nails, rasp tools, and other products in there from all brands that are available. And there's also, if a product isn't in there, you can manually add a custom product as well. And then it's pretty much generating a shopping list as you would if you, I guess, go into the supermarket, and as you guys do when you're going to order your hoof care products. And then you can either use that list, I guess, if you were going into the hoof care dealer, or you can email and get them to pre-pack for you. And then there's the ability at the bottom, you can see on the screen, there's a duplicate shopping list. So if you tend to order the same things each time, you can just duplicate it. It's got the date on there, and then you just edit it as you need to, adding new things or taking things off if you don't need them. And then at the top, you can see that share with dealer as well, so you can send that off to your hoof care dealer, and as I mentioned, they will get an email with that list. So I mean, I know you guys both use that shopping list. Have you got any tips on that, or as to how you use it when you're creating it, etc.?
When you go into the various supply and you're walking around, they say, "Is there anything else?" And you go, "Yeah, I know there's something else, but I can't think of it." Well, this is one to eliminate it, because you jot it down on your go, so you don't have to just create a shopping list there and then of everything. As you're working through the day or your week, you can just put in things that you need. It's good for us in the team because we've got multiple trucks. We've got the blacksmith shop as well. So if something's low, anybody can create a shopping list and just put in whatever materials we need. And then when it comes time to putting in the order, I can go through and add the quantities of what we want, or add whatever else we need, and then just export that straight away. But it's always that one thing that you can't remember. It's already written down there, because when you remember it on the job, you just put it in, and then it saves you that deal.
Okay, great. Yeah, Leigh, you finding it useful as well?
Yeah, I just find I can just for the simple fact, I'll go into the shop, it's ready when it's ordered. And like Brad said, you get halfway home and think, oh yeah, I should have got that. That's what I needed, and you forgot it. So now I'm just starting to get it delivered to home. I just sat down last night and did my order, and I can really look at the trailer and got everything, and it's just and when I was going into this EQ, I was, it was ready, and I wasn't having to walk around and wait. So I'll just pick it up, pay for it, gone, out the gate. So
there is a little button there which says add to inventory. So yeah, for those that are using that inventory, you can sort of set that up in the app as well, and have a list of all the stock that you have, just to keep an eye on the quantities, and just again sort of, I guess, to alert you if you are using the inventory through the entries, then you can just keep an eye on your stock, and if you need to add anything, just when you are creating that shopping list, you can have a look at that and add it to your shopping list. I guess just the final thing is, which is I think Brad's already kind of touched on that, really, is that collaborating with your team. So if you do work in a team, you can set that up, invite team members to join, or members to join your team, and they sort of switch into that team, so everyone is using the same app, so everything entered goes into that one place. You have the different roles, so you've got your administrator and your owner. So that as the owner of the app, that's you're an admin, so that allows you to see all that financial information and pricing and things like that. We have examples of people that they're their partners that do the bookwork, they're admin, so they can sort of see that financial, and they might do the invoicing. And then you have your members as well, so they they don't see any financial information, but they will be able to sort of do all the entries, add the procedures and things like that. So it's a great way to just collaborate and have everything in one place. And people can, if they're contracting, they can use the app for their own business, so they would switch into their business when they're working on that, and then they switch into the team that they're working for when they when they're working for that person. So but yeah, I think like you said, Brad, as well, it's good to be able to see if you're in different locations, you can see what everyone's doing at different times of the day and at different spots and things.
It's a couple of instances where I've been on a different farm, and I've got a call from a manager of another farm, and they've asked me about a particular horse that's perhaps lame that day. I haven't even seen the horse, but I can just look at the entry and see what the guy's notes have been and the pictures they put in there, and I can have a conversation with that manager, and I can put them at ease that I know exactly what's happening. I can describe the foot. I can say, yes, we've done this, we've done that. The boys have already taken care of it, and it just puts them at ease straight away, rather than me saying, well, I haven't spoken to the boys at the end of the day yet, I don't know what that foot's like, it could be bad, it could be serious, but it puts me in a position where I don't know. So it gives me a great opportunity to have coverage over everything that the lads are doing there and then on the spot.
Okay, great, thank you. So I think that's pretty much it. There's just to make people aware, there is the web version as well, so you can everything that you do in your mobile device or on your on the iPad or whatever, everything is connected, so everything syncs between one or the other. So you might use that mobile or the iPad or tablet on the job, and then of an evening sit on the laptop, and you've got that bigger screen maybe to do your invoicing or scheduling it and things like that. So that's something that's now available. And then sort of mentioned already, so you've got those different, it can be used on sort of multiple devices. I know like Leigh, you sort of use mainly the iPad, I believe, on the
I do use the iPad, but I use both pretty well, but
the phone as well.
Yeah.
And Brad, you use a bit of
I'm the same.
You use all three, don't you?
Yeah, I guess I use all three. Being a horseshoe, having your phone in your pocket's not easy all the time. So when we're out in the paddock trimming weanlings or mares or what have you, we take our phone, and it's actually, we've got used to being able to put your phone somewhere that's going to be safe, and that's easier than carrying an iPad around. But I do use an iPad when I'm doing my foal work, because I'm in a barn situation, so I like to have all that information in front of me, and the iPad's just a lot easier to access it and see it. My eyes are getting a bit tighter. So that's a lot easier to do, especially if you use it looking at photos and things like that, or generate reports. The iPad is just a bit easier, but I mean, it's quite simple to run off your phone.
Yeah, right. Thank you. So yeah, just a couple of little things. It's free to use. There's, apart from obviously if you do subscribe to Xero or QuickBooks, but that's not done through the app, so that's sort of separate. You can use offline and online, so if you're in remote locations, everything sort of gets saved on your device until you sort of get into better signal, and then it'll sync into the app up to the cloud, and everything, all the data is stored on secure servers. So if you were to well, like with anything really, if you were to get a new phone or what have you, everything's saved in the cloud. So once you log into your new phone and you upload your apps and things, everything is sitting there for you to continue to use. So I think that was it. I think